Good evening. You were watching Carry On COVID, starring Sid James as Boris Johnson, with Barbara Windsor as Nadine Dorris and Charles Hawtrey as Dominic Cummings. Speaking of Cummings, coming up next is The Grimm Show, with strong language throughout.
There I was, doing the round. Digging his hole, all in the ground. So big and sold around it wasn't there, was I? Digging it deep, it was flat at the bottom and the sides were steep.
Hello lovelies. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed there has been a distinct polarity shift in the censorious bullshit going on, moving from the ostensible left to the MAGA right, I suppose. Some of this has been around GTA 6. That really seems to have set some people off. It's disappointing, but not unexpected, right? Because being anti-censorship should mean that you are anti-censorship, right? It means you have to allow space in the public discourse, in media, for things that you don't like and don't approve of. Things that really grip your shit, right? Because those people have a right to free expression just as much as you do. And many people will find things that you like just as distasteful as you find these other things. And so, fairly obviously, and to be expected, a lot of people who've come out pro-free speech over the last decade or so, I guess, are turning out not to be free speech at all, but actually to just be weaselly, hypocritical fuckfaces. They're just pro their free speech, not anybody else's. Now, it's not that we don't have hypocrisy on the other side, and haven't had hypocrisy on the other side for about a decade at this point. Hypocrisy is hypocrisy, no matter how small, and no matter who is doing it. But I'm going to go off about something else, not the GTA thing, because some cunt has been going around trying to gin up sympathy and support over being blocked and non-consensually refunded from a Kickstarter that they backed, seemingly for being a known harasser, which sounds kind of lame and bogus on the surface of it, and exactly the sort of shit tier behaviour we've come to expect from some creators in the hobby space, right? But I think this particular wanker might well actually be an harasser, as for some reason, best known only to themselves, they seem to have latched on to me and have been stalking my YouTube comments for a while now, and inserting themselves unbidden into poor innocent conversations on X without consent, to decry me for being okay with kids being shown pornography in elementary schools. First, I don't know what the fuck an elementary school is. Is that where children go to learn airbending or some shit? We call it primary school, I think. Ages 4 to 11 or 12, right? So, tweens, puberty's coming in at the top end there. But secondly, of course, no, I don't. I'm not okay with kids being shown pornography at a young age. And thirdly, nor does anybody else. The fuss seems to centre around the book Genderqueer, which Faux News created a controversy about, claiming that the book was being shown and made available to very young kids. Except, of course, it fucking wasn't. The American National Education Association, NEA, recommended it for educators to read, teachers, counsellors, that sort of thing, to help them to better understand, better serve, perhaps, their LGBTQ students a little better. And like it or not, right, it's what, 5% of the population overall? It's up a little, but that'll probably change over time. Are that. Which means if you've got 100 kids in a school, about 5 of them are going to be non-conforming in some sort of way. You know, that's enough that you should make some sort of accommodation for them. So the list was titled Great Summer Reads for Educators, never intended for kids. That list included books about learning, literacy, racial issues as well, many of which are probably somewhat objectionable, but remember, we're pro-free speech. And a few titles, you know, in there were ones that were regularly challenged as being inappropriate for school shelves, even though this list was never intended to go on school shelves. And that included the book Genderqueer by Maya Kababe, I think that's how you pronounce it, which tops the list as the most banned book of 2022 to 2023 for no reason, because it was never available to these pupils in the first place. And it's not even fucking pornography. It's not meant to titillate or arouse. It's a rather crudely, even badly drawn autobiographical account of someone growing up a little bit different and the challenges that they faced. Yeah, there's some nude drawings and some sexual situations. The much touted blowjob in the book is actually a simulated act with a strap on. Get out more. But they're not presented in any sort of really erotic way, any more than someone drawing a dick and balls on a bathroom stall, or looking at an anatomical diagram of the penis and vagina in a biology textbook. If you get aroused by that, if you consider that kind of thing pornography, you've got issues, and you need to get out more, or stay in more, cruising Pornhub, I suppose. Come to it though, you know, despite all that, yeah, I do support sex education for kids. Yeah, even LGBTQ kids, and yeah, even very young kids. Of course I do. Why? Well, for one thing, proper sex education is the best way to tackle problems like underage sex, teen pregnancy, STD transmission, and to help control abortions a damn sight better than abstinence or forcing people into back alleys to get them does, certainly. And for another, if you're against noncery, then you need to equip kids with the understanding and comprehension of what it would be if they were interfered with. Right? Failing to arm kids with that knowledge to know that something bad is being done to them, what that thing is, what it means in some crude sense, leaves them vulnerable to predation. So if you're against noncery, you should be for educating kids. Sex ed is pretty much all positives and no negatives. It's all there in the statistics and in the practices of whole-ass, more civilized countries like the Netherlands, who have practiced early sex ed for a considerable amount of time now, and you can delve into the statistics yourself quite easily by looking these things up online. If you were actually about helping kids and ushering them into a healthy, safe adulthood, then you would be supportive of all of this stuff. And remember, girls can hit puberty as young as 9 or even earlier. So if you really wanted to help kids, you would be all over sex ed. And yeah, for LGBTQ kids too. You're not going to change anyone's sexuality merely by informing them that some boys like to kiss other boys, some girls like to kiss other girls, some people like both, some people like neither. Some girls wish they weren't girls and would like to be boys, and vice versa. You're not going to change how anyone feels about themselves merely by informing them that these things exist and that while they're unusual, they are normal. But this isn't really about the kids, is it? That's the excuse, that's the fig leaf that you put over it. It's about your petty little disgust reaction, or your nose wrinkles when you think about it, your nervousness, your unease, your prudishness and your distaste. It's selfish, it is destructive, it doesn't help kids, and it's futile, because they're going to learn about this anyway, and it would probably be better to educate them from a decent source rather than have them go to pornography sites for their education, right? Just as it would be better if you went to a legitimate source of information rather than Fox News. Now, I don't expect that any schools are going to start anytime soon teaching about BDSM, right? But I grew up often feeling like a freak because of my particular tastes, thinking I was all alone, that there was something wrong with me, and, you know, at least I was heterosexual. And nobody should be made to feel the way that I did, and it's going to be worse for non-heterosexual kids. Treating them like that, treating them as outcasts and inhuman, is inhumane. Yeah, sure, okay, there's some issues the other way too with extremists. You know, the idea that biology is a social construct. But that doesn't excuse your extremists or bad behaviour, and you have to call that shit out. So, oi, cunt. If you're this obsessive and haranguing to me over a fake story that you've got a bee in your bonnet about, then it seems to me that whoever excluded you probably had a good case for doing so. Bite the fucking pillow. About 3,000 of you subscribe, but only about 200 are getting notifications, so click the bell and click all.
Today, see, I don't like the, I have, okay, like a lot of you, I hate a lot, you know? But I hate with style and creativity.